Warning. The following podcast may occasionally contain strong language and material that is not suitable for all ages. If you are easily offended, it is highly advised that you turn back now. However, if you're a degenerate, welcome, brethren. You've found your home.
This is Wine, Dine, and Storytime. We're a podcast that shares stories of true crime, mysteries, and things that give us the heebie-jeebies. We do this within a Dinner with Friends theme. I'm Nydia, and
I have the eye of Newt.
And I'm Dana, and
I have the toe of frog.
And I'm Cindy.
And I have the wool of bat and the tongue of dog.
So Halloween is right around the corner.
right around.
And that got us thinking about witches, right? I read a story so unbelievable, so vile, that I just had to share it with my friends.
We love it.
Yes.
That's what we love about you.
That's
what we tolerate about you.
Right. Well, I find you know what? It's so funny that you do tolerate that about me, because when I do that, say, around work friends, they're not tolerant.
They're not as amused?
No, they are not.
Excuse me, ma'am, this is a Wendy's?
They're like, this is a parent-teacher conference.
But the cannibals.
Did you know? And it's, the reason why is because you guys are just as creepy as I am.
What? I don't think that's true.
And this isn't something that people share in decent company.
That's true.
Especially while they're eating, like we are.
That is an odd thing that we chose to do.
Right? To eat and talk about gross, inappropriate stories.
Right.
And some of our stories have been very inappropriate for dinner conversations.
Yeah, I would say.
So my story today involves a woman and children and candy. And what's more witchy than that?
That's right.
So last Halloween, we shared some creepy stories of hauntings and poisoned candy.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh.
So we're par for the course.
Cool.
So
consistency is key, my friend.
I mean, if we're nothing if not that.
That's right.
Because for 2 years straight, we have not missed a single episode.
You got that fucking right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean.
Write that down. We'll take our award, please.
That's right. So we're going to get to the stories.
Yeah.
But first, the food. Let us pray. Bless us, O patrons, for these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy donations through Patreon every month. Podcast.
Colt?
Okay, so this is a pork chop.
Uh-huh.
I think some type of potato.
Nope.
No, it's rice.
Nope. Rice. Where you see rice?
Yeah, that better not be rice.
I don't know.
That's not rice.
It's some kind of mashed something.
Is it fucking cauliflower?
No.
Okay.
I don't like cauliflower.
Okay,
either.
good.
Is it fucking grits?
It is.
Oh, I love grits.
Oh, I've
It's
never
southern.
had them.
Yes, you have.
You've had
I
them
made
on this
here.
podcast. Let her tell us what it is before we yell out things that it's not for the next 10 minutes.
Southern cheesy grits with a mushroom tomatoey sauce and a Cajun pork chop.
I must have been out the day that she made grits, because I don't remember eating grits.
Yeah, we had a whole thing about you never having grits before.
Really?
You mean like cheesy grits or something, right?
Yes. I made a casserole.
Yeah.
A cheesy grits casserole.
Oh my god. Is that like how I pretend to be a virgin in every new relationship I get into?
Is that a thing you're doing?
2 kids.
Very weird.
I'm still a virgin.
Very weird thing to do.
I'm just kidding. Let me get that. Let me get some of them grits.
What do you think about grits? The second time you've eaten them.
I believe that was the first.
It was not.
I don't like the texture of grits, because to me they taste like a box of mashed potatoes that just, weren't ground up enough. I don't know. For me, it's just a weird texture. The flavor was great.
But do you eat...
But I did eat them.
Do you eat farina?
No.
Then you wouldn't like grits. I mean, that's like cream of wheat is like...
I mean, my grandmother...
It's like they're first cousins.
Yeah, my grandmother made farina, but she made with sugar. She made it like
that's
nice
how
and
I like
sweet.
it. Yeah.
And I don't hate the grits flavor. It's so grainy.
Yeah.
That it's not my favorite.
Would you say that they were gritty?
They were oh, what? The more you know. Okay, Cindy put mushrooms on there.
Love it.
I am a mushroom lover. I
In all forms.
love mushrooms.
We love them so much.
Yes. Yes. Like
Sliced,
I could have
diced,
them
sauteed.
smoked.
Dehydrated?
I don't think you could smoke mushrooms.
I don't think
Can
so
you smoke
either.
mushrooms?
I mean, sure, you could smoke anything.
Okay, so I love a mushroom, and she made a mushroom gravy, and she put it over these cheesy grits.
Yeah.
And she made this pork chop, and the pork chop was all about the spices.
Yes. Mm-hmm. What was
So-
on the pork chop?
I was there.
It was a Cajun spices from, again, Southern Roots Spice Shop again came through.
Oh,
Not a
okay.
sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
So stop doing that. So anywho, I enjoyed this. What I didn't like especially love is the wine because it tastes a little juice boxy.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like it.
It's sweet. It's very sweet.
It smells like cinnamon.
Yes. It smells like a spiced apple.
Yeah, like an apple cider.
Yeah.
But it doesn't taste like that, though.
No, but it like when I drank it,
It tastes just like juicy juice.
yes.
Grape juice.
Yes.
It tastes just like it. It almost doesn't taste like there's any alcohol in this at all.
Right. And you know I'm about all the alcohol.
I know you are.
So this wasn't working for me. But this
I
is
actually
called,
really like it.
This is Broomstick Brew from the Tomasello Winery. That's close to
Just
us.
right around
Yeah,
right around the corner here.
just around the riverbed. So, and it has a full moon and a witch on a broomstick.
Yeah.
And some creepy. Oh, look! It says "Serve warm from your cauldron."
Definitely don't do that. I have about 17 ice cubes in it.
It tasted like apple cider, like a not apple cider, like an apple toddy.
I don't know what that tastes like.
Well, like that.
It tastes like juicy juice that your mom stuck it in your cup
Well,
with your sippy cup.
I
I
didn't
like
love
it.
it. Oh, look at you!
Sorry, say it again.
No, I like that we both said it at the same time. You said I like it, and
Yeah.
I said I didn't love it.
That's right. That is this podcast in a nutshell.
In a nutshell,
That's
for
it.
real. Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean,
We're done. All right. See you guys next
bye.
week.
So, before we continue with our stories that we both
Yeah.
researched and are going to tell, I want to let people know that we have a Patreon that you can support us on there. We're going to have a new challenge announced.
Well, I don't think so.
Yeah, we are.
I don't know about that.
The challenge that I want to announce.
It's not happened yet.
No, we're going to think about it.
We're going to think about it.
We're not going to think about it. It's already thought about, but I just have
You
to.
thought about it.
I have to come up with the logistics of it.
Okay.
And it's going to be glorious.
You know, my one consolation is that you just don't follow through with anything. So I just don't think it was so much work
That
to get
is
the camping
true.
thing done.
Yeah.
That I don't think it will ever happen. So I feel perfectly fine about it.
Yeah, because I don't follow through with anything. Except for this will be my life's mission. This will fucking be my life's mission.
I was hoping you forgot about that.
This will be so fucking glorious and funny.
Why do you hate me?
I don't hate you, but I feel like
You do.
I feel like you need to get in touch with the side of you that needs to do karaoke in concert form in front of millions of people
I don't think so.
with costume changes.
I think we should quit this podcast. I think the time has come. We're done with this podcast.
Possibly on a Facebook Live.
I don't think so.
I think it would be a beautiful thing to hear your rendition of Cher and
Cher?
other greats.
Interesting.
Yes.
I mean, I'm definitely picking my own music.
okay. All right.
I mean,
yes.
that's part of it.
All right, but so then you're on board.
I'm not on board.
But
I'm not on board yet.
We will make an official announcement.
I'm not on board with this at all.
And I will fucking go on and do like a freaking telethon to get people to
It just won't happen, though. That's the thing.
I don't know, Dana.
Anyway, well,
Am
moving
I
on.
really a follow through kind of girl?
I don't
We shall
know.
find out.
Let's see.
So, Dana, you had an insane story about
What's happening at my son's college?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Let me just say, aside from this story that I'm about to tell you, is that my son has decided that he's coming home for fall break, which is great. Love to see him. Can't wait. So exciting.
You sound excited.
Except that I have torn my house apart and I wasn't expecting him to be here until November. So I have had to put my house back. It's not there yet. And I have literally 2 days left to get this house back together so that he has like a bedroom to sleep in.
Right.
So, and then he's
Is he bringing his girlfriend?
He's bringing his girlfriend. It's a whole thing. My house is destroyed from one end to the other because I don't know, had a thing. I've had a rough couple of weeks. Anyway, I have to go food shopping. There's literally no food in this house. Like, what is happening here? I don't know. It's become a whole project. That being said, you know, he's always been a kid that's just, like, sort of ignored me and been aloof and been just, like...
And he's a lesbian's kid cat.
Yes, right, exactly. He's just always been, like, this, like, sort of distant kind of kid, but, like, funny and nice and whatever. Kind of a dick, but, yeah, he's fine. So anyway, he's been, like, sort of, like, calling me every Sunday. And I started calling him every Sunday to, you know, whatever. And I text him and talk to him. But, like, I thought for sure when he moved out, like, and left for college, like, that was it. I was never going to hear from him again because he's just, like, seems like that kind of guy, you know? But he's been, like, calling me every Sunday. And he's, like, become such a nice kid that I, like, don't even know. Anyway, last Sunday when he called. Last Sunday when he called, he's like, the craziest thing happened. Like, I can't wait to tell you. Like, it's so nuts. And I'm like, okay, what happened? And he's like, so he's in school for journalism because he is a storyteller. Like, he just loves to talk, loves to hear the sound of his own voice. Couldn't possibly, like, understand where this comes from. It's very strange.
Does he have a podcast?
Very strange, very strange. So he starts setting the scene, right?
Okay.
He starts setting this. We were at this party. We were at the girls' crew house. There's a boys' crew house and a girls' crew house.
The girls' crew house and the boys' crew house. That sounds like a college experience.
Yeah, but so he's like, so I was outside in the backyard playing beer pong, and his girlfriend was inside in the kitchen, and he's like, there's this kind of driveway, and it's a 2-story house, and when you get up to the second floor, one of the bedrooms has a window you can climb out of onto a balcony. It's like a thing. And I'm like, the way he's like setting the scene, I'm like, oh my God, something bad is going to happen. Something bad is going to happen. He's talking about all these, like, everybody's drinking, everybody's having a good time, it's so fun, blah, blah, blah. And one of the girls that was like, a bunch of them had climbed out of the balcony window and were just up there hanging out and drinking and talking, whatever. One of the girls must have been really drunk and, like, leaned on the balcony and tumbled off the back of the balcony.
Oh my God.
And he said, like, they just saw her just, like, hit the ground, you know? So everybody, like, ran over, and he said, like, her limbs were, like, at weird angles. And fortunately, 2 of the kids on the crew team, they're not kids, they're, like, fully grown men. 2 of the guys on the crew team are EMTs. They're, like, seniors in college, and they're EMTs, which, like, thank fucking God.
My
right?
God. Yes. Also, like, how lucky is that?
Thank God. He said the one kid that's an EMT was there at the party.
Right.
And one of the other kids that was the EMT was in the ambulance when the ambulance arrived.
Oh, Lord.
So I just, like, got hair. Like, every time I tell this story, like, hair stands up on
Oh, my God.
Because he said the kid was, like, drinking. You know, the EMT that was there, he was, like, drinking at the party. And he just, like, put his drink down and, like, got to work on her.
Oh, my God.
And he said that, like, they were touching her broken arm to, like, whatever. And she was just, like, non-responsive. And they were like, oh, my God, this girl's, she's dead. Like, she's definitely dead. I mean, the EMT didn't say that, but the kids at the party, you know?
Yeah.
You know, he said, since I've been at this college, I have never felt more like a child than I did in that moment. Like, this fully grown man knew what to do. And he was like, I didn't know what to do at all. Oh, like, I was so scared. Like, everybody was so scary.
Because for all they knew, they were witnessing somebody's last minute.
Yeah. Like, their friend who's, like, on their team.
Oh, my God.
So they loaded her into the EMT, into the ambulance, and she was fine. No concussion. She broke her wrist. That was it. And she was, like, perfectly fine the next day. I mean, hungover and, like, very sore. Right. Fell off a balcony, but, like, totally fine.
Also, she's done with crew.
She's done for the season, for sure, definitely. She's young. I think she's, like, freshman or a sophomore, but...
Oh, my God.
Yeah, she's done for the season, for sure.
Damn.
Yeah.
She's so lucky she
so
did not
fucking lucky.
break her neck or her back.
I know, I was like, did we learn a lesson? And Gator's like, stay off of balconies. I'm like, good lesson. I like this lesson.
Yes.
Great lesson.
Jesus.
But I will tell you, like, you know, he did tell me, I was talking to him yesterday because I got him a car. I think I said I, like, sold his car and I took his room, and I've been a vicious mother. It's been terrible. Anyway, I replaced his car, and he wants to take the car to college. And, like, initially he said he wasn't taking it because it's like a $500 extra fee to have your car there, and he didn't want to pay that, and I understood. And there's, like, a bus that's, like, a token, and they get tons of tokens or something. So, like, he has plenty of transportation. So he wants to take the car back. And I'm like, I don't love it.
Yeah.
They get a lot of snow up there. You know, he's never really driven in snow.
Plus your surfboard. Didn't you get that car
I know,
for your
really was
surfboard?
for me. I mean, like, I'm not going to be able to surf till next year, but, like, I mean, this is about me, guys. Like,
I mean, clearly. The second he moved out, she lost all traces of him.
So, but I was, like, you know, saying my concerns, you know?
Right.
And he was just, like, you know, talking to me about... one of my main concerns is drinking, right? Like, I don't want him drinking and driving, of course. And he's like, I never drank and drive before. I would never do that, blah, 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 you know, whatever. And I appreciate that. I think that's great. And I believe him. Mm-hmm. But, you know, these are my concerns or whatever. Right. And he was, like, sort of explaining to me that he hasn't... like, while he's been drinking with his friends, he's like, I don't know, I just don't, like, feel like I know them enough to, like, get drunk around them. Which sort of made me be like, okay, like, he gets it. Like, he gets, like, his boundaries and, like, his... Because I would have just been... I mean, I've told many stories of how I acted like that. I didn't understand that until I was, like, 30. To, like, oh, not everyone is here to, like, take care of you and like, be nice to you, you know?
Yet, folks, she willingly goes to the second location on a weekly basis. So clearly she's learned nothing.
Listen, maybe he's a better person than me. I don't know. But he did make me feel like, okay, okay, good.
He knows about the second location.
He knows about, like, keeping himself
safe.
His brain in enough of, like, a clarity that he's in control of himself. And, like, that made me feel really like, oh, he's, like, he's going to be okay.
I've always been like that, too. Like, I will not let myself get, like, I can't not be in control of my...
That's why I don't really, like, drink anymore. Yeah. Because, like, I'll drink a couple glasses with you guys or, like, whatever. But, like, drinking is, like, a thing that you can very quickly, like... be very out of control.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, got a story to tell?
I do. And I wish it was an uplifting story. I really do.
Witches, you thought?
But, no.
Okay.
No, we haven't just met. Just a few episodes ago, we did some stories that prove that you don't have to be young to commit a heinous crime.
You don't have to be young?
Yes. To commit a heinous crime.
Okay. Oh, because we did, like, the old people killers?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I forget what it was called.
Get a hold of yourself.
Get a hold of yourself.
Nicely done.
Okay, so as people live longer, they want to enjoy the things that bring them joy.
Yeah.
And sometimes that includes murder.
Okay, sure.
Sure. That's your hobby. You know that data collected by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI.
Oh, is that what that stands for?
Yes. Suggest you're an asshole. Suggests that elderly crime is on the rise. In
fucking
2000,
boomers. Goddamn boomers. Of course these fucking boomers.
Yes,
not good at anything but fucking breaking the law, motherfuckers.
In 2000, about 58,500 arrests were made of Americans over the age of 65.
Jesus.
By 2013, that number had increased 44%.
Shut the fuck up.
To 84,415 arrests for senior citizens.
Bro, what the fuck? What are they getting arrested for?
Violent crime, honey.
Wow.
Violent crime, yeah.
These fucking Karens out here just fucking throwing punches and shit. You know that's what it is.
I mean.
In the Walmart, it's like, I was in line. I had a coupon.
My Kohl's cash.
It was a blue light special. Give me my discount.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And go back to your own country.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
That kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
You know? I'm going to tell you a story that will prove to you that the capacity for violence doesn't necessarily have to diminish with age.
Perfect.
If you work out, you eat a healthy diet, you too can raise hell into your golden years.
Great.
After all, when it comes to murder, age is just a number.
Nothing but.
So when I think of witches, I think of creepy old ladies who live alone and feed kids candy in order to lure them, you know, and then cook them and eat them, right?
Yeah.
I imagine.
All right.
I imagine them as having a weird hatred for children. For some reason, they just really fucking hate kids.
It's definitely part of the lore.
You know? Like, the thing is, like, I always wondered about that. I'm like, why don't witches just hate men?
It would make sense.
Right?
Honestly.
But no, they hate kids.
No, because the patriarchy always wins.
I guess. So I imagine them having, like, a weird hatred for kids.
Okay.
Kind of like a cranky lesbian.
Lesbians love kids. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Like,
Lesbians love children.
Really? All of them?
No, not
See?
all of them.
Lesbian over here who does not like kids.
She's full of shit. I've seen her with babies. She's great with babies. That's
Look
true.
at her.
Look at her. You know it's true, bitch. Shut the hell up.
She just sighed.
Yeah, she did. You might be begrudging about it, but you love them too. Shut the hell up.
I got pictures of me with my little cousins from when I was very young, and I was like, I should have known I wasn't going to have any kids when you saw me with those pictures.
Today I'm going to tell you about Sophia Zhukova, an old lady from Russia whose crimes will make you think twice about taking your elderly neighbor's food.
Perfect.
Or candy, for that matter.
I used to have an old lady that lived next door to me at the condo.
Uh-huh.
And she used to, like, hang... You ever, like, get the newspaper and it was, like, in a plastic long bag?
Yeah.
She would, like, hang bags like that on my doorknob with, like, bread and, like, fruit and stuff. And I would be, like... First, for like, a year, I didn't know where it was coming from. Like, we would come home from work and there'd be food hanging on our door. And then we realized it was her. And I was like, does she think we're, like, poor or something? Like, what is happening? Like, it was so...
She definitely did.
She definitely did. She was like, I should feed that boy. Like, it was so weird. It was like rogue fruit. Like,
did you ever eat it?
No.
It probably had blades in it.
For the longest time, we didn't know where it was coming from.
Right.
It was just, like, fruit on our door. Or, like, a loaf of bread, like, hanging from our doorknob. And we would be like, what the fuck is this?
She was disapproving of your lifestyle.
She definitely was. She definitely was.
But at least she wasn't a Karen about it. She was like...
She used to call my landlord all the time.
On you?
Yeah, she used to call my landlord and be like, I don't like the way, how many chairs they have in the back. Remember we used to have, like, that table and chair set back there? And she would be like, I don't like the chairs back there. And he'd be like, okay, like, it's their porch. Like, what the fuck? And she was just, like, really obnoxious.
She doesn't like the chairs surrounding a table.
She didn't like it. No.
On a balcony.
No, she didn't like it at all.
Yeah, she was still giving you fruit. It was probably
It was weird. Yeah, she probably was trying to poison me. She's probably like, why won't they fucking die? I'm like, bitch, I'm not eating your weird doorknob
with an
fruit.
apple.
Your classic witch bullshit.
I mean.
Get the fuck out of here with your poisonous apple.
Why didn't you open with that? Like, I had a witch neighbor.
I literally, until you just said that, I just remembered.
A fucking poison apple.
Literally just remembered.
Good
anyway,
Lord.
We used to call her the Lady in 5 because I didn't know her name was Marie for like 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
The Lady in 5.
Yeah.
This sounds like a scary kid's fairy tale.
I've had a weird life.
I see that.
The more I talk about it on this podcast, I'm like, I had a really weird life. That was a weird thing that happened.
Wow.
Anyway, go on.
So, Sophia Zhukova was born on March 18th, 1939, in the village of Svyazhino, Nizhny Novgorod Oblast.
All right.
And I said it with a Russian accent.
You said it with an Italian accent, but okay.
She had no formal education and could hardly read and write, so she worked as a laborer from a very early age.
Okay.
At a mere 7 years old, she was chopping wood to earn money because Russia. Mm-hmm. Later, she moved to Khabarovsk,
Okay.
where she settled on the outskirts of the city in the village of Berezovka.
Perfect.
Okay.
You're nailing it.
There, she gained employment in a meat processing plant.
Okay, great.
And I think that, like, 90% of the stories that we've told on this podcast start out at a meat processing
a meat
plant.
butchery situation.
Yes.
I've got to say, the last time you mentioned a woman from another country
Butchering meat.
it was also a person that was butchering meat.
Terrible.
Yes.
Very questionable.
Maybe start looking at the processing
At your
plants.
local butcher.
So sometime during the 80s, she moved into an apartment complex. It was during this time that she met a mild-mannered man and married.
Okay, great.
Yes. She had a few kids with him, but only 2 survived past infancy.
Okay.
The 2 surviving sons she had eventually grew up and cut all contact with her.
Uh-oh.
In 2005, Zhukova's husband died. This had a profound effect on her psyche, and some even believe this was the thing that put her over the edge and onto her murderous spree.
Uh-oh.
Because she had worked throughout her youth in very physically demanding jobs, she remained extremely strong into her old age. Her neighbors recall her being able to carry huge sacks of potatoes like they were pillows.
Jesus.
Yes. Another thing she took into her old age was her intimidating personality and rough demeanor.
Okay, great.
She very often clashed with her neighbors and threatened to rip their heads off.
Oh my God.
Sophia was known to carry around her trusty axe, and neighbors were troubled by the fact that she would use that axe to kill the stray cats around the neighborhood. Yes.
Yikes.
Y'all, Dana just had to put her cat down. I just think it should be mentioned.
Thank you.
That was sad.
It was very
Jinxie.
sad. Yeah.
Jinxie used to lay at the bottom of my feet and fart.
That was so gross. That
It was so bad too.
yeah. That might have been an indication that something was wrong. Actually,
Really?
it was he was in kidney failure, so I don't know. Maybe digestive is not, but
R.I.P.
yeah,
Jinxie.
he was a good boy.
He was.
That was my roll dog. That was my cat for 18 years. He's a good boy.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't believe he lived 18 years.
He's-
That's your son's entire life.
He was that picture I posted of him. He was Gage was like 1 in that picture.
That made me sad.
Yeah. Thanks though.
Okay, so she would go around killing the
Perfect.
cats
Thanks
with
for that.
the
Love that.
Jinxie went peacefully.
He did.
Still, no one took her threats seriously. She's only chopping up cats.
Probably because she's like a little old lady, right? That can
She
throw
wasn't-
around 50-pound sacks
She
of
was
potatoes.
old, but she wasn't little.
Oh, okay.
All right? I mean, she was old, and old people aren't capable of extremely violent acts, or so people think,
Right.
you know?
Right.
The cat murders were apparently no reason to throw off
They don't
any
give a
bells and
shit.
whistles.
They're like, it's fine. Kill the cats.
And, well, they weren't fine with it, though.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, they were not fine with it, and they complained often. But, you know, what are you going to do? They're stray cats.
Yeah.
You know? And the Russian police have their hands full.
Yeah, they're busy.
Yes. So Sophia was very independent and resourceful, often doing her own labor-intensive home improvement projects, such as remodeling her apartment and even removing and replacing her old radiators. You know, those old-fashioned radiators, those are heavy as hell.
Yeah.
Still, on other occasions, she was weirdly nice to her neighbors, and in particular, the neighborhood kids. Her neighbors thought it strange that despite being mostly cranky and unfriendly, she would find time to cook things for the local kids. Mm-hmm. The treats were always meat dishes, more specifically candied or jellied meats.
No.
And this wasn't necessarily off-brand because she did work in a meat processing plant.
We don't take old lady meat.
Right?
No.
We don't like old lady meat, especially jellied.
Jelly meat.
Jellied meat.
I just think of like, you know, when you leave like ground beef in the fridge like overnight or something, it gets a like coagulated fat on it. That's really gross.
Sometimes she gave them to the adults, too.
And adults took this food?
Yes.
Gross.
She did not put them in the newspaper bags and tie them to the
Good.
doorknobs, though. She brought them out in a tray.
Okay.
Have some jellied meats.
No.
So one of her
Fuck
neighbors, known as simply as Tatiana, said that Sophia, you know, the lady, brought her and her husband plates with jellied meats, and her husband said, "Let's not eat that.
Let's not.
Let's not.
Let's not.
You never know what it's made from." And boy, was he right.
Smartest one in the story.
If yes. And let me just tell you, if there ever was a man that had the fucking hand on the pulse of the fucking
This guy.
of the room, he was reading the fucking room.
I mean, she's got a fucking Beetlejuice like arrow point, like blinking over top of her, like Fucking hello.
Yes. So now it's December 2005, and Sophia is her same shitty 66-year-old
Cranky
crusty ass
ass,
self,
yeah.
right? 8-year-old Anastasia Alexenko is doing her after-school routine of visiting her grandparents, who just so happen to live in Zhukova's building.
Okay.
The little girl is there with her friend Valentina. Their routine was to get there around 1 and talk and hang out, and then, each
So
go their
sweet,
separate
yeah.
ways, right? So the girls, being typical little girls, would get loud and shrieky. That's what girls do. They fucking shriek
They
so
sound
much.
like you're murdering them constantly.
Why do they shriek so much?
I don't know.
So Sophia doesn't like kids, and she especially dislikes Anastasia. And this is where the story stops being at all funny.
Okay, great.
So she would come out of her apartment to yell at them, to tell them to shut up and to threaten them with physical violence. The girls didn't take her seriously. But on December 14th, 2005, when once again the girls were being loud, Sophia came out to once again yell at them and threatened to cut their heads and hands off.
That's very specific.
Super specific threat.
Yeah.
Especially since she was an axe-wielding woman.
Right.
So Anastasia...
A cat-killing, axe-wielding woman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? And children are only so much bigger than a cat.
Yeah, just
right?
a couple steps away from a cat.
So Anastasia supposedly threw an ice cream at her.
At the old lady?
Yes.
No, she didn't.
That's what...
She says.
Yes.
Okay.
That's her...
Children don't give up ice cream easily.
No, you are correct.
Yeah.
But if Anastasia did that, I kind of have to be like...
No!
I don't know.
Kudos to Anastasia for throwing the ice cream?
Yeah.
Or kudos for the old lady for killing her?
No.
I was like, Nydia, please be specific about what you're saying.
What kind of a monster do you take me for? Although I would probably want to kill somebody that threw an ice cream at me. Remember when you put an ice cream in somebody's face?
Yeah, I do. My son's dad, he loved it. It was his favorite day. It was his favorite thing that ever happened.
Yeah. So
Still talks about it.
Yeah. Okay, so this was, of course, the testimony of Sophia Zhukova. We don't know if that was actually what happened, okay? But what actually precipitated the following events is beyond me and beyond any normal human reaction.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because regardless of whether she put an ice cream on this woman or not,
right,
or she was being loud and shrieky, what happened to her did not justify.
All right.
Okay?
Tell us about it.
Was not justified. So the girls said goodbye, and Anastasia went inside the building. Valentina walked home. No more, So Zhukova grabbed the girl by her neck and dragged little Anastasia into her apartment. Now, the details of what happened to the little girl are unclear because there were no witnesses to this, and all we have to go by is the police investigation and Zhukova's own testimony collected under interrogation and some bragging she did while she was being held for trial.
Perfect.
So while she had her in the apartment, she severely beat the little girl and held her captive for for days, possibly days. Whether she was still alive at the time or not, we don't know because during the trial, Zhukova claimed that she had her for 3 weeks, but she wasn't even missing for 3 weeks before they found her.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so Anastasia's grandfather was the first to notice that something was off because it was 1:30 and his granddaughter still hadn't come home from school. So he called Valentina to ask if Anastasia was with her, and she said she hadn't spoken to Anastasia since she saw her go into the building. At first, police suggested that the 8-year-old ran away, which her mother was like,
She's 8.
Niet.
Nicely done.
The next day, Anastasia's grandfather went to speak with Valentina, and this time she told him that she saw Anastasia enter the building and Sophia Zhukova went in behind her.
Okay.
So after an exhaustive police search, Sophia was brought in for questioning on the disappearance of little Anastasia. She told investigators that she knew the little girl, and they got along well. She told them the little girl would visit when her husband was still alive, and they would color and talk.
Mm-hmm.
Zhukova told the police that Anastasia didn't want her parents to know that they would hang out because she didn't want to get in trouble by her parents. So she said the visits ended after the passing of her husband, but they were still friendly towards each other.
Yeah.
When questioned about how they entered the building together, Zhukova told him that once inside the building, Anastasia was going up the stairs when some other little girls came and called for her, and she left outside with them again. The investigators saw no reason to not believe this little old lady, so they didn't end up following up on what she told them.
Okay.
Days after Anastasia disappeared, a mysterious caller with a woman's voice told Valentina's mother that Anastasia was alive and well and living just fine with her. And the phone call just so happened to be coming from the sausage factory where Sophia Zhukova
Get the fuck out
worked
of here.
as a pig slaughterer. How many times have we talked about pig slaughtering being the stepping stone? It's bedwetting,
Oh, is it?
setting fires,
Gotcha.
hurting little animals,
Pig farmers.
yeah, and then stealing, and then butchering of people.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
This is a not so nice part.
Right.
So if you're triggered by extreme acts of violence on children, just
I'm triggered by that.
Oh, shit.
You trigger me all the time.
Oh, damn
It's
it.
fine. I don't have a choice.
Okay. So on the night Anastasia was murdered and disposed of, a woman was out walking her dog when her dog took a turn into an alley.
Oh, no.
Someone had placed fresh cuts of meat on the ground. The lady also noticed blood stains along a wall. The lady thought it was possibly poisoned meat placed there by dog trappers.
That's
I guess,
fucked up.
I guess it's okay to like kill animals in Russia. I wouldn't know.
Maybe if they have like an overpopulation or something.
Yeah. She pulled her dogs away and went home to tell her mother, who urged her to call police. By the time police got there, they only found bones and blood stains. It appeared the meat had been consumed by stray dogs. So once again, they didn't follow up on anything. A trash bag was found close to her home 2 weeks later on December 27th by a local resident.
Okay.
The man had to, I guess, stopped by the road, I guess, to pee or whatever the hell it is that men just pull over for randomly. He noticed what he thought was a bag of meat on the road. The bag was lightly covered in snow, so he thought it was a good idea.
Bags of meat everywhere in Russia.
So he thought it was a good idea to take it home for his dogs.
No, what the fuck?
Yeah, because Russia. I don't know why someone would do that, but I'm checking my privilege at the door.
Oh, okay, good.
Like, I don't know if Russia has a meat shortage and, like, you know,
They
still
might,
got to
yeah.
feed your dogs.
Okay.
Also, like, that would probably hurt them.
Russian dogs strong.
I guess. Like, bull.
They're strong like bull.
So, and the bag had a little bit of snow on it, so I guess it was still frozen because it's winter and it's Russia and
This
it's
is
cold.
really terrible.
So maybe it stays fresh?
Stop it.
But why would somebody be throwing out meat? Anywho, let's digress. So he takes the bag home. What he finds inside are actually human remains.
Yeah.
Anastasia's naked, dismembered remains, to be specific. Her face had been severely battered, and her head had been severed.
Ugh.
Her mother had to identify her remains.
What the fuck?
Yes. And by the way, her mother's name was Natalia Alexenko. How Russian are these names, though?
I mean, it's Russia, so.
That is true. So no one suspected Zhukova of such a heinous crime. And at this time, she was in the process of remodeling and giving her apartment a deep, deep cleaning.
Jesus.
And so for 14 years, the murder of
14 years?
the murder of Anastasia Alexenko went unsolved. 14 years.
Wow.
People started to forget the tragedy as time went on, and for Zhukova, it was business as usual. It was now 8 years later, in March, early April 2013, right around the time of her birthday. Her friend, 77-year-old Anastasia Mikayeva, another Anastasia,
Gotcha.
came to stay with her for a couple weeks. She had just sold her apartment and asked to stay with Zhukova for 2 weeks until she could join her daughter in Moscow.
Okay.
On March 9th, witnesses recall that the two women had an argument. On that same day, Sophia Zhukova grabbed an axe and did to her friend the exact same thing she had done to 8-year-old Anastasia years before. She dismembered the body and disposed of the remains in a trash bag. With the, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of mentality.
Yeah.
The 77-year-old Anastasia's daughter became worried when she suddenly had stopped communicating with her because those two were like talking every day and they were supposed to move in together. On that same day, she reported her mother missing. Soon, police were back at Zhukova's door asking questions. And when they got inside her apartment, they noticed that there was blood on the floor. And when they questioned Zhukova, she said it was her friend's bloody nose that she got because of her blood pressure.
Okay.
And the police were like, sure, that checks
Makes
out.
sense, perfect.
Yep. Sorry for bothering you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
And they tipped their hat.
Right.
You know, that old-timey, like, hat tip.
Yeah.
She also told them that on that very day, her friend Anastasia Mikhaeva decided to abruptly leave to the home of some relatives in Primorye, Russia.
Okay.
She told police she had tried to stop her, and in the scuffle, she managed to grab her purse with all her documents. And she still left to Primorye without
all of her things.
Without her passport,
Right.
in Russia.
Right.
Like, sure, she left her home to travel through Russia with no documents or a purse. That makes sense, right? Like,
Makes no sense.
but, I mean, don't they stop it? I mean, I don't know. They probably, we probably have the same stupid misconceptions that they have about us, but,
Yeah.
like, don't they stop you at checkpoints and check for documents and shit?
I mean, I don't think within the country.
You don't think so?
I mean, like, not like on a regular old street, I don't think.
I don't know. It's communist over there, though, don't they?
I know, but I don't think it's like a...
No, like, she was going to another town, though.
Yeah, I think maybe, like, if they're leaving the country, you
Okay.
know. But I don't think, like, within the country it's...
They do that here, too.
Right, yeah.
Okay. She told them Mikhaeva hopped into a black car and drove off to an unknown location. The police noticed that there was a discrepancy with her statement. And in a Kaiser Soze type moment, they were like, wait a minute. There's no windows facing the street in this apartment.
You're an idiot.
How would you know that she got into a black car and drove off?
Right.
Right? So they were like, something smells fishy. Also, the woman had no relatives in that area.
Okay.
In the days following the disappearance, people noticed that she had been wearing the woman's clothes.
So weird.
There was also reports of blood stains near the garbage cans outside the building where Zhukova lived. Once again. Then, just like years before, Zhukova decided her apartment needed an update.
Mm-hmm.
So neighbors saw her dumping her entire living room set. Like, she, like, literally carried a couch on her back down steps and shit. And despite all this, police were still unable to collect enough evidence against her. Once again, she seemed to get away with another vile crime. Then in January 2019... How many years later? 6 years later.
Math is hard.
brain fart. A man from Ukraine came to her town, Vasily Shlaktik. He was a 52-year-old man who was looking for a place to stay after his wife put him out for being a drunk. He was working as a janitor, and Zhukova decided to rent him some space in her apartment for 2 weeks. Like the lady before him, he was only planning to stay for 2 weeks. So on January 28th, Vasily collected his paycheck, and he was brought to the apartment by a friend. I don't know whether he was drunk, you know.
He got dropped off after work or
Yeah,
something?
he was there with a friend.
Okay.
Sometime around 2 a.m., the downstairs neighbors heard loud banging from Zhukova's apartment. They said it sounded like an axe coming down. They said that the first few blows, with the first few blows, they heard a man moan, like moaning. Then more blows, then complete silence. Then they realized that she was washing her floors. On the next morning, they noticed she carried a very full garbage bag out with her. That same afternoon, they heard more chopping from the apartment.
Great.
On the 29th, Vasily's employer was looking for him because he was a no-show to work. And his coworkers were also looking for him. So this is like 28th, 29th, like in rapid succession. On the 30th of January, some little girls who were playing near the garbage cans found a grisly discovery. Oh, no. They saw some dogs fighting for the contents of a garbage bag.
What the fuck?
Russia's rough, bro.
That's crazy.
When the authorities were notified, they put the pieces together, literally and figuratively.
You're proud of yourself?
I'm not proud
of yourself?
They knew the man had been missing, so they reached out to his wife. She identified him. Once again, the prime suspect was Sophia Zhukova. The police immediately searched her apartment, And there they found all the evidence they needed. They found blood and human remains still on the axe.
Fuck.
When they questioned Zhukova, she denied knowing the man, but said that she saw him out drinking days before. Mm-hmm. And she said the chopping noises were bones she was preparing for a soup. And the blood she explained away as the bloody nose from Anastasia Mikhaeva. But remember, she had disappeared 6 years prior.
I was going to say, that was a long-ass time ago, right?
And the police were like, wait a minute. Fool us once. So they brought her in. During the interrogation, she admitted to killing Vasily with the axe. According to her, he came to her apartment with another man, and they asked her for a cup of tea. She let them in, and she says they raped her. She says the other man left, but Vasily stayed. And since he didn't leave her alone, she attacked him with her axe. So while inside her holding cell, there was another woman in there with her, and she started bragging to her about the murder
We
of...
love a jailhouse brag.
I mean,
We
she
love
started
it.
bragging to her about little Anastasia's murder
Jesus.
and about old Anastasia's murder.
Okay.
The lady in there immediately reported it to police.
She was like, excuse me, can I think there's a clog in this.
She's like, psst, come here. I have something to tell you. And she's got a cigarette.
She
And
definitely
she's
has
wearing
a-
a ratty fur coat.
She's got a bun, though, like a low bun in her hair.
And wait, she's got a real ratty fur coat.
And she's got Nike slides on.
Why that?
She's got a long dress that buttons from the bottom to the top, all the way to her knees. She has like all buttons and Nike slides with socks. Definitely.
This sounds too specific. I need to know.
She's shuffling around the jail. She's like,
What's she there for, though?
just something easy.
She's
So something easy.
she's running a brothel.
But perfect.
She's fucking in there for brothel
She
running.
could be like stealing checks from old people or something.
Are there checks in
I
Russia?
don't know. I don't live in
know.
Russia, but
Yeah.
yes, I'm sure they have checks.
Okay, so
I'm sure there's a banking system in Russia. They have money.
all right.
Like fucking divvying up like rocks and shit from the backyard. Like, I give you 3 stones for a cup of coffee. I'm sure they have like debit cards and shit.
They drink vodka.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. They give you 3 stones for shot of vodka.
Okay. So, I feel this is crossed the line into inappropriate.
I'm sorry.
Authorities searched her apartment.
Finally.
And they found blood evidence in both cases. They also found in the case of Anastasia and the other Anastasia, the
Little
two
one,
Anastasias,
yeah.
yes. So they also found inside the refrigerator Vasily's internal organs. During her trial, she retracted her confessions about the Anastasias, but she admitted to killing Vasily. She said, "He raped me. What do you expect me to do?"
Fair.
She was held inside a cage during her trial. It was
Shit.
Yes. There's video of this.
Okay.
And like this just happened.
they were
honey.
scared of her.
This just fucking happened.
Oh my god.
Hannibal Lecter caged up.
Yes.
Yeah, they're scared of this bitch.
Oh yes. Yes. Okay. Wait
Did
till I
they
show
have
you.
the face mask with the weird thing? Like,
No, not
she didn't need the
quite.
whole face mask.
No.
This is so crazy.
But I'm imagining that when they had to feed her, they had to use a like zookeeper thing, like that long claw
Like
thing.
a big long back scratcher.
Yeah.
Like a piece of meat.
yeah,
on
like with a piece of meat on it.
with the electric thing to zap her
Yeah.
if she got too close.
it. Yo, what the fuck?
This is so wrong. All right.
You guys are insensitive.
Get a hold of yourselves. While she's in the cage, she's mentioning that she did kidnap little Anastasia and that she held her for 3 weeks, but that she didn't touch a hair on her head. During witnesses' testimonies, when they, come up and they give their fucking...
I know what witness testimony means.
Yeah, okay.
When the witnesses have testimony?
Yeah,
when they talk.
Yeah. She would interrupt them to insult them or to laugh at them.
I'm sorry, does she have a podcast? Because that's what we do.
We interrupt each other,
Yeah.
to insult each other, and laugh at each
I
other.
love that I'm sorry, I mean, she's a piece of shit, but, like, I love that she's making fun of the witnesses. That makes for a fun court case, for the jury, at least.
You're not going to think it's so funny because she got into a shouting match with Natalia Alexenko, Anastasia's mom. Yeah, and there's, like, pictures of that online.
Oh, that's sad.
So also for the sake of the court, they brought her to her home, to her apartment, to reenact how she killed Vasily.
That seems like a lot.
They gave her a fake axe because I ain't stupid.
Yeah.
You know, so you have the investigators,
out.
and she's like, they took a melon and they put it like on top of like a person's body. And
You are fucking lying.
There's video of
You
this.
are fucking lying.
She's holding a paper axe and she's showing them how she did it, and she's like, "There, you happy?" Like,
Get the fuck out of
like
here.
doing the motion
Yo.
on the melon, and she's
What
like,
the fuck?
And she like looks at them like, are you happy?
How do you think I swung an axe?
Right? How do you think? Like, what was this for? She was like that.
Yo.
That level of annoyed.
Can we just get to sentencing, please?
I mean, okay, we're getting this.
No, I mean, that's what she's saying.
Yeah,
She's like-
she's just like, this is ridiculous. See? In 2020, the trial kept being postponed because of COVID.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yes. And at the end of December 2020, Zhukova caught COVID while in prison and died
No.
on the 29th of December before she could be convicted.
Fuck.
She was convicted posthumously, which, for whatever that's worth, like, why?
Because then at least they can close the case and the families can
The
be
case
like,
was closed when she died.
No, but like so that the families can like there's no doubt, you know, like
Right. Okay.
So you don't have any doubt. Like the families can be like, we know she did it, which of course they
Right.
probably
Because
already
she
did.
said
but-
it.
Yeah.
She said that she did it.
But there's like that thing that you don't like when there's no closure, you know, like
Right.
it's-
Well, speaking of no closure, they found DNA evidence of the little girl's blood in the bathroom, in Zhukova's bathroom, and they tested it against the mom's DNA. And the mom was still saying, no, she's alive somewhere. She's alive somewhere.
Didn't they find
she was
her body?
Yes.
Oh,
And she
that
identified
sucks.
her body, you know?
That's tragic.
She's a little baby. Sophia is also suspected of at least 4 other murders, but there was never enough proof to, like, bring her to justice for those. But this was not her first rodeo.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, anybody that would kill a little girl like that
Yeah.
had done that before.
Yeah, definitely.
You know? So she never went to trial,
That's crazy.
you know?
I can't believe she died of COVID.
She died of COVID. Is that insane? Like, remember we were always talking about, like, all these court cases that
Yeah, it's crazy.
got messed up because
Yeah.
of COVID. Well, this is one.
Wow.
She fucking got COVID and died.
Wow.
She was 81.
Well, c'est la vie.
She was 81 when she killed this dude
That's crazy.
with the axe. Yeah. So I likened her to a witch because she fed kids candied meats that people were like, oh, that's definitely people.
Was it though?
Well, they never proved it, but why does she keep his insides in the refrigerator?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I hope people didn't eat that shit.
I don't know. Maybe she did.
I hope people.
Why
didn't
was she
eat that
keeping
shit.
his guts in the refrigerator?
Yeah, your guts are the worst ones too.
I mean, yeah.
It's like that awful meat.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's that awful meat.
That's what it is, right?
Right. All right.
Do you want to take a break?
Yes,
Right.
yes. Get the giggles out.
Sup, y'all? I'm ready for a snacky snack. While Cindy's getting that together, take a minute, meet our new friends, and when you're done listening to us, go check them out.
Hey listeners, my name is Julia Johnson and I am the host of Figure It Out podcast, where I have funny guests and cool people come on my show and we talk about very interesting things such as hot mess moments, embarrassing moments, just being an overall mess together. If you are interested and you're ready to laugh, you're ready to cry, you're ready to feel all the feelings. Just kidding. You won't cry. I promise. You're ready to relate, then my podcast is the one for you. You can check out Figure It Out by Julia Johnson on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Anchor, and wherever you listen. Thank you.
And we're back. Ooh. Is this that thing I tagged you in the other day?
You did tag me in that thing, but it's
different.
I took inspiration from what you tagged me.
Okay.
That looks like monkey bread.
It's sort of like a monkey bread. It's like a pull apart situation.
Oh, really? What's in it?
I used apples. Cranberry apples, because of course we're doing witches. So, yes, apples.
Yeah.
It smells sugary, cinnamony, caramelly.
That's probably exactly what it is.
All right, let's get the show on the road.
I loved that. It was probably one of my favorite things I've ever put in my mouth.
Really?
Yeah, I love the gooey texture of it.
Okay.
I love the apples. I could even had more apples. They were really good.
They were just the right amount. She made them
like real cubed and small.
They were like 1/8 of an inch in size,
diced, if you will, almost
Yes.
like what you get when you have oatmeal apple, like the little pieces in the apple cinnamon oatmeal.
Yeah,
the real small pieces. That's like how small they are.
Oh, that was the perfect smallness.
It was good.
So sweet and gooey. It was like a Cinnabon.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I love this.
So
could have had
delicious.
ice cream. Halfway through, I was like, we should get ice cream. Then I'm like, I'm going to eat this before I get ice cream, so forget it.
Yeah, it was really tasty. But, you know, I still hold the number one contender for the best thing I've ever put in my mouth. Was the Cindy's burger. The cheeseburger she made, the bison burger.
Apples and oranges, my friend. That's dinner. This is dessert.
But okay, well I'm still very much in the honeymoon phase with that burger.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So I got a story for you guys.
Let's hear it.
And it came from a listener. When she first sent it to me, she was like, "Oh, a Halloween story for you," and then turned back and said, "Oh, it's about Easter." But he does this all year round because he lives near her.
Yeah.
And so she sees the decorations all year round. So he did a lawn display tribute to Hugh Hefner.
Oh.
Okay.
So it's a bunch of mannequins dressed up in, and I'm going to show you a quick picture, dressed up in...
Oh, wow.
Wow. All right.
Wow.
In lingerie, you know, like the bunny costume.
But they're dressed like the Easter Bunny, wearing lingerie, but also it's a
all over the front yard.
So apparently, you know, the neighbors are all in an uproar over
my neighbors
it.
are so boring. They just like to have dance parties till fucking midnight when I'm all old. But they don't do any cool shit out in the front yard.
No, nothing like that.
I would live for that shit.
Well, apparently most of the neighbors do, except for one.
Of course. Go away, Karen.
Yes, yes. This Karen was called Desiree.
Okay.
And she identified herself on a news station after she had a whole fit about his risque lawn ornaments and lawn displays in costume.
She took it to the news.
She took it to the news and then further to the next step.
Get out of here.
She took a pair of shears and chopped and destroyed 5 of those mannequins.
Yo, is she okay mentally? She's not doing good.
That there's a line that you can complain about something, but once you take it upon yourself to destroy somebody's property, that's a you problem.
Yeah. It's like last year that there was that like whole thing on Facebook that these neighbors were going back and forth because the guy had like a skeleton in his front like porch and it was like decorated weirdly and the lady was like, "That's satanic," so he kept like making it more satanic and she kept going over and like destroying his property.
Wow.
And I'm like, I would fucking fight you for that shit.
Yeah.
If someone touched my muffler Derek crane out in the yard, I would be really upset.
You need to explain what the fuck you just said, because I know what you were talking about, and I was like, is she speaking English or did she just have a stroke? So let me explain. I took Dana to an estate sale by the beach one day, a couple years ago, and there we went to an artist's house, and the artist lady made a giant crane.
My favorite thing of all time that I have in my house.
Right. It's a giant crane sculpture
Yeah.
made out of muffler parts.
Yeah.
And it's
like
painted white.
It's at least 7-8 feet tall. It's huge.
Yes, and Dana has it promptly displayed in the front yard, facing all of her neighbors. And it's how I find her house in this cookie cutter neighborhood.
It's my favorite thing. It makes me so happy. Every time I come home, I have to stand next to it before I put my key in. I'm like, hi, Derek.
And yes, okay, and I just learned that its name was Derek.
Yeah,
not to be confused with Derek of...
Ratchet Book Club.
Oh,
Yes.
oh shit! I didn't even make that. No one, because cranes, they're called derricks. So crane, Derek is a crane.
Wait, cranes are called Dereks?
Like those big things that go in the ground and take oil out. They're called
derricks?
Yeah, so I knew. And he's a crane. It's a different kind of crane.
Right. Oh, it's a play on words.
Yes.
Look at how smart you are.
His name is Derek.
Okay. I got it. All right, so
Sorry,
she
Cindy.
did not have a stroke.
So the guy's a dentist, and people were like, she was trying to get people to
course he's a
boycott
dentist.
him and all of this stuff. At one point, she did manage to get the city involved because he did have some of his display connected to some city trees. So he had to pull it back from the city trees.
Why are you
Yeah.
a
Wait,
thief
where
of
is
joy?
this? Is Texas, right?
No,
was
this is in Jersey.
Oh, shit.
get the...
So she's the thief of joy.
Let's all go to her house and egg her house.
I don't like her. TP for sure.
Yes.
Mischief Night's coming.
Yeah.
She's the worst kind of person.
So what ended up happening?
He's trying to get money for vandalism and damages.
He's suing her.
He's
Good.
suing her.
Good.
Yeah, good.
Good. Does he need witnesses? I'll testify.
Well, she took responsibility on the news station.
What a psycho.
What town is this?
This is in Clinton.
She's an anti-masker.
Clinton, New Jersey.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I mean,
Definitely.
it's
Without a doubt.
It's looking that way.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Fucker.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, those were some sexy mannequins.
I hate her.
I don't like her.
I don't like her.
But
can't sit
also,
with us.
this was Easter, right? That he did that.
He did that for Easter, so he dressed the mannequins
It's
up
the
in
best
Easter.
that it's for Easter because it's like the worst holiday that you could possibly do that for.
It's the least
so
of the
good.
sexy holidays.
It's so good. It's genius. I'm sorry. It's fucking genius.
Oh my
He's a dentist.
God.
He's the smartest man alive.
Yeah.
Definitely the smartest man in New Jersey, for sure. I mean, hands down. It's not even a question.
That was.
I mean,
I'm speechless.
oh,
But yeah, so apparently he does a lot of stuff for every
we should take a ride to Clinton.
every holiday. He
Love
does
him.
something.
My God.
Love him.
Yeah, and we should be like free dentist Hugh Hefner. I don't know what his name is, but
Oh my god.
wow, I like that.
I'll add it to the links so that way if somebody wants to go look at the pictures
Yeah.
of it and read the article. 'cause
Yes,
there's
feast your
more to
eyes,
it.
folks.
It's
Feast
pretty
your eyes.
great.
Yeah,
It's pretty great. So today, I got my story from biography.com, historycollection.com, allthat'sinteresting.com, historyofroyalwomen.com,
royal women.
yeah, justhistorypost.com, and Wikipedia, a couple different articles.
Okay.
This,
Did you donate to Wikipedia?
I saw it this morning when I was on there, but I'm going to. I did
I
last
did,
time they
yeah.
asked me. I didn't today.
Yeah.
But I will because I use them every single week. So
Me too. I mean, the least that I can do is give you that $3.
it was like $2.75 or something. It was like, excuse me, it's fall, please. I'm like, all right. I got you, Wikipedia. Give me a second.
Yeah.
So today, I thought that I would be like you. I would be like Nydia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my idol.
Oh, wow. Look at oh my God. The sarcasm is not lost on my ears, friend.
And I decided that I would not do a witch because
How wonderful for our podcast.
I forgot we were doing witches initially. And I couldn't find a story. And I was like sort of thinking we were doing Halloween. I put my cat down. I had a really rough week. It was a lot happening here. So then I was like, oh, I'll just do this story because I know before Cindy and I were talking about this story and I knew you hadn't heard of it.
Okay.
You were like, I never heard of her. And I was just like, this is like true crime 101. Like I was shocked that you didn't hear of her.
Okay.
But I'm happy to be able to tell you because this is a big deal.
Okay. So I just decided to change the name of the podcast this episode from which is Be Cray, which was to Witch Please.
Perfect.
Because you really should have stuck with the topic.
I'm so sorry. So today I'm going to tell you about the Guinness World Record holder for the most prolific serial killer of all time, the Blood Countess.
What?
Her name is Elizabeth Bathory, who is believed to have killed something like 650 young women and girls.
My mouth is open. Yes. How did I never hear about that?
I know. I remember when we, her and I were talking about it, this was almost probably a year ago. And you were like, I never heard of her. I was like, she's getting added to the list. Definitely.
Why were we talking about that?
Maybe we were talking about a Halloween episode last year or something. I don't know why we were talking about it, but
okay.
I'm gonna just start by saying I always thought her name was Elizabeth Bathory. That's how it looks.
Okay.
But it's Bathory. I spelled it out, sounded it out. Bathory. That's how you say it. Yeah. She was born on her royal family estate in Hungary, August 7th, 1560, and she spent her childhood in a candied castle. I'm probably going to butcher a lot of Hungarian and Slavic names, so I'm going to try really hard.
You needed to take Russian like I did.
Yeah.
Russian classes.
So her father was born George VI Bathory, and her mother was Baroness Anne Bathory, and they own land in what is now modern-day Hungary, Slovakia, and Romania. And essentially they ruled the entire area of what was Transylvania.
Oh, I want to suck your blood.
Exactly.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Real? What?
Vampires, bitch.
Ooh. Oh, but this isn't the vampire episode.
I know, I fucked up.
How about we do a vampire episode and I do a witch?
Perfect.
Just to stick it to you.
Vice versa. So she was born to a noble family that included her uncle, who was the king of Poland, and a nephew who was the prince of Transylvania. So these are high-born, uppity people, you know?
Right.
She was afforded the best education. She was taught Latin, German, Greek, and later in life she was able to write in 4 languages.
Wow.
As a child, Elizabeth suffered from seizures that may have been caused by epilepsy, possibly from the inbreeding of her parents.
Ew.
They were first, when they both have the same last name, it's because they were from the same family.
Ew, icky.
Yeah. At the time, symptoms related to epilepsy were diagnosed as the falling sickness, and treatments included rubbing blood of a non-sufferer on the lips of an epileptic patient, or giving them a mixture of a non-sufferer's blood and a piece of skull to hold in their hand during the episode, when it ended.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so many people think that...
To comfort them?
I don't know. But many people think it might have been a witchy spell. Witches?
Oh, you're reaching for
I'm on it.
You're reaching.
So many people think this might have been one of her one of the motives that later in life for her killings. And I will tell you, many of the things that we hear about her...
Right.
Were not written about her for about a century after her death.
Oh, kind of like the Bible?
Kind of like that, yeah. So usually some of these things have little to no evidence.
Or are lies. Kind of like the Bible.
Right. Exactly like that. So Elizabeth grew up in a society where violence and cruelty was the norm. In 1514, the Hungarian peasants rose up against the nobility under the leadership of Gheorghe Doza. The crown quickly squashed this revolt, and Doza was executed horribly. Illustrations of the incident show aristocrats roasting him and eating his meat and enjoying every minute of it.
Wait, cannibalism?
And I'm going to tell you why that was the depiction, because in real life, he was made to sit on an iron throne that was heated by red-hot coals, while his assistants placed a blazing crown on his head, mocking his ambition to be king.
Like Game of Thrones.
Kind of like that. People think that this story inspired...
Wow.
George R.R. Martin.
Yikes.
Yeah. While he was suffering and burning on this chair, 9 of his fellow rebels had been starved beforehand. They were led up to the makeshift throne, and executioners removed pilers, boards from the fire.
Right.
And they stabbed him with it, and it pulled off bits of his flesh, and they were forced to take bites of the flesh. 3 or 4 of them refused to do it, and they were brutally killed.
Holy shit.
Encouraging the other ones to just eat it.
I'll be like, can I steak sauce, please?
So, in the end, Doza died from the ordeal, and the rebels who ate his flesh were released. They unharmed.
Definitely. I would have been like, oh, I'm so full. Can I get some to go?
After the revolt was put to an end, 70,000 peasants would go on to be tortured for their rebellion.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah, the peasant class became servants to the nobility, and they were forced to work for them, like...
slaves.
Yes. Like, it was like they had to tend to their farm part of the week, and then they had to, 1 or 2 days a week, they had to work for the...
indentured
Yes,
slaves.
sure. It made it easy so that the upper crust were able to treat the peasants as any way that they wanted to without any repercussions. Elizabeth and her family were the very top of that upper crust. Violent scenes like these would be regular occurrences during Elizabeth's upbringing. As a child, she witnessed the execution of a man where the executioner sewed the man alive into the belly of a horse.
Wait, what?
As Elizabeth watched, she giggled at the man's head poking out of the horse before he disappeared completely.
Wait. Wait. So he got sewn into...
They killed a horse.
They killed a horse.
They cut open his stomach.
And
then they put him inside.
Okay.
And sewed it up. And then he suffocated.
Got it. Okay, because I saw a live horse wearing almost like a man tank top. You know what I'm saying? Like
the opposite.
Oh, good Lord.
Now, this is also one of those things that may not be true. And the reason that people think it's not true is because horses were really expensive back then. And they probably wouldn't waste one just to, like, execute a man in a horrific way.
Also, it sounds like a lot
It's a lot of work, yeah. But it's like in every account of this telling of this story, you hear this tale for some reason. Yeah. She was engaged at the age of 10 to Count Fernic Nadasi, probably a political arrangement between the families. It's very common back then. Once they were engaged, she moved into his family home, like as a small child.
Okay.
And this was common practice because she would become the future wife and she would need to learn how to manage the property because her husband would probably be out. He specifically was out fighting war a lot because he was like,
I can imagine her as a very bossy 10-year-old telling the staff what to do.
Yeah, she was like a really beautiful child also. She was like really pretty. And it was said like in a couple of sources, and I don't know if this is true or not, but like the lore is that she was like a little bit tomboyish and like played in the field and like, you know, had fun and when she was a little kid. And then when she like moved to her future husband's house, like she had to learn to be a lady and wear a dress and it was like very constricting and confining. But again, like it's just like there's no way to tell whether that was true or not.
Right.
He didn't necessarily need to go fight wars. He was a rich guy that he could have just like chilled around in the castle, but like it was his chosen profession. He was very good at it. And also, this is in a time when that rebellion happened with the peasants.
Right.
It made the political system a little unstable.
Okay.
And then the Ottomans came in and they were trying to... this was like that long war where like the Ottomans were coming in and trying to like take over land.
They were messing up the whole setup of the living room. Those damn Ottomans. People were tripping over them.
You're an idiot. So anyway, he like loved war. Like he was like into it.
Wow.
At age 13, before her marriage, she allegedly gave birth to an illegitimate child. The child was said to be fathered by a peasant boy who was supposedly given away to a local woman who was trusted by the family. Her future husband punished the peasant by having him castrated and then a pack of dogs set on him, ripping him limb from limb.
Oh my God. George R.R. Martin got a lot of his stories from this. Because that reminds me of Arya. Not that she got pregnant or anything, but it's just like...
Evidence of the pregnancy came along after Elizabeth's death, and the rumors were spread by peasants. So, again, validity of this story should be taken with a grain of salt.
Okay.
Elizabeth's social standing was higher than that of her husband's, so she refused to take her husband's last name, and instead, he assumed her surname.
Oh, how fucking modern woman.
Bad bitch.
Wow.
She was like, I own all this shit.
Wow.
So the couple was married when she was 15 and he was 19 on May 8th, 1575. His wedding gift to her was the castle of Choctis, 17 nearby villages. Some people believe that she continued to be exposed to violence and torture of people, of peasants from her husband. Mm-hmm. He was known for his uncompromising treatment of the Turks. He was known to dance with their dead bodies and play catch with their severed heads.
Nice.
He was away a lot with war, and it was reported that he would regularly send her letters happily dispensing advice of how she should be disciplining the servants. That was also told that, like, he was sending her letters of how he was torturing the Turks and that she enjoyed it.
Okay.
So there's, like, conflicting stories.
So basically, your entire story may or may not be true.
Yes, that's the whole point of this story. Yeah. Because this story, like, I initially heard this story on the History Channel.
Right.
And they were like, she's a vampire. She's the first female vampire. She killed 600 people on the History Channel.
Yeah, if it's on the History Channel, it must be...
Never contradicting it, ever.
Got it.
Historians are like, yeah, this is not necessarily true.
Okay.
She did kill a lot of people,
Right.
but, like, 650, that is crazy.
She certainly had the power to.
She did have the power to.
As a royal.
Right. When he was at home, though, he did take the time to show her how to torture people in person.
Oh.
Very romantic.
As a couple.
Yeah. In one instance, he had a disobedient servant girl taken outside, stripped down naked, smeared her with honey, and he ordered the girl to stand out there all day and night. It was the summertime, and she was bitten and stung by bees and insects. When she dropped to the ground from exhaustion, he put pieces of oiled paper between her toes and lit them on fire to wake her up. Elizabeth supposedly watched this and participated in the incident. In 1578, her husband became the chief commander of all of the Hungarian troops, leading them to war against the Ottomans. So she managed the business affairs and the estates and the surrounding lands.
Right.
It was said by some that as well as being capable of managing and defending their territories, Elizabeth was very generous to her people that she took care of, donating to the poor and the needy. She gave lots of money to charity and often intervened on the behalf of women who were impoverished or disadvantaged.
Wow.
Like they had been attacked by the Ottomans and maybe they'd be like disowned by their husbands because they got raped or something, and she would like take care of them. So that's like a vastly different side of Elizabeth that we're not hearing about. So, you know, since her husband was away a lot, they didn't have any children for about a decade, which is kind of good because she was a literal child when they got married.
Right, but she had that baby at 13.
Supposedly, yeah. So, daughter Anna was born 1585. Daughter Orsoila was born in 1590. Daughter Katalin was born in 1594. Son Andras was born in 1596, but he died like around age 7. And son Paul, which is Paul, was in 1598.
So she had a bunch of millennial babies.
Yes. And her husband died on January 4th, 1604 at the age of 48. We don't know exactly why he died, but he left his entire estate to his heirs and his widow, and he left them in the care of a man by the name of Gigorgi Thorzo. He would eventually lead to the downfall of Elizabeth. Now, how does all of this make her the Blood Countess? While her husband was still living and shortly after his death, Elizabeth had been known to have been very strict with her female servants.
Okay.
And with peasant girls in the village. Elizabeth would go into fits of rage, beat the girls so badly that they had to sprinkle sawdust to, like, soak up the blood off the ground. In 1601, a woman called Anna Darvolya moved into the household. It is rumored that Anna was Elizabeth's lover. Now, you know, the folks here at Wine, Dine, and Storytime, we love a lesbian vampire situation. But alas, there is no substantial evidence to back this up, but I choose to believe it's true.
Listen, I'm here for it.
I choose to believe it's true.
Okay.
There is plenty of evidence from the statements from staff and other noble people in the area that Anna was the one who encouraged Elizabeth's sadistic side. And it seems that Anna was the catalyst for Elizabeth becoming a mass murderer.
Oh.
Legend has it, a servant girl was brushing her hair and pulled it a little too hard when it got caught on a knot.
Oh, shit.
Elizabeth became furious and hit the girl in the face. Blood had gotten onto the back of Elizabeth's hand, and she noticed later that where the blood was on the back of her hand was less wrinkly. A switch was flipped.
Oh, shit.
And the aging widow realized that she needed to bathe in the blood of virgins to maintain her youth and beauty. This is supposedly the inspiration for the Wicked Queen from Grimm's fairy tales.
Damn.
Accounts of the brutality that her servants had to suffer are kind of hard to hear, as if they haven't already been, but...
Yeah, I want to hear.
I know you do. I'm going to tell you. The punishments were initially designed to fit the crime, right? The girls of the Countess accused of theft, for instance, had a heated coin pressed into their flesh. The violence then escalated when the more rage she felt.
Okay.
Elizabeth was accused of pouring cold water over the girls and leaving them outside to freeze to death, depriving them of food and sleep for weeks on end, tying them up outdoors, covering them in honey, and encouraging animals to attack them. Even more gruesome are the accounts that Elizabeth would beat the girls to death, mutilate their genitals with hot pokers and knives, pull their mouths apart with her bare hands, and bite chunks of their flesh or force the other girls to bite each other.
Jesus.
She's supposed to have drained the blood of virgins so that she could bathe in it. This one in particular has been disproven by mathematicians and scientists because, like, the amount of blood it would take for you to, like, sit in a bath of blood is, like, depending on the age of the girls that she was killing, which was between 10 and 15 years old.
Right.
It would take, like, 10 to 20 little girls that she'd have to kill, which if she was killing 600,
How big is the tub, though?
That's true. And some people think that she was, like, taking the blood and putting it in vials and then rubbing it on her skin.
Right.
So, like, you know, but the sitting in the bathtub thing, like, people are like, that's not really possible because, like, the blood would coagulate. Like, there's just, like, lots of factors that go into it that's, like, it's probably not possible. Probable, I should say.
Maybe she was adding it to water.
Maybe. There's many things that, like, people theorize that she was doing with this blood.
Right. She was onto something, by the way.
Well, there are blood facials,
yeah. There's blood facials, and, like, in
I don't think they have
countries,
to be virgin's blood, though.
No. Yeah.
Little kids' blood.
I know, no. There's, like, this treatment in other countries that you can get a blood transfusion from, like, a younger blood, and, like, it makes you, like, invigorates you.
This might have been why we were talking about this initially, because I think you were trying to convince your daughter to give you her blood. You were telling me about that. And I was like, are you Elizabeth?
She's too old. I don't want her blood now. And David's blood would kill me. We don't have the same blood type.
I think that's why this came up. Actually, now that you just said that, I just remembered.
Well, Natalie's up in age now, so I no longer need
almost
her blood.
30 blood. Get out of here.
That's old blood.
So, despite the treatment of her staff, Elizabeth was able to keep a steady supply of women coming to the castle. She would send noble women into other parts of the village and be like, don't you want your daughters to come work for the castle?
Right.
And they can, like, be fancy ladies one day? And the people were, like, fucking poor and starving, and they're just like, yes, definitely give her a better opportunity.
Right.
And then they would never come home.
Don't you want your daughter to be a bath bomb for the noble queen?
Peasants particularly didn't really have a choice. She would call on them and they'd have to come. But noble families would send their daughters up to be trained by her, like to be like ladies in waiting, or just like any type of royal situation. You send your daughter to the castle, then she has more chance of like maybe meeting a rich guy,
right,
and then getting married and like whatever. But this is where she fucks up. No one questioned Elizabeth's alleged activities until 1602, when a Lutheran minister began to be suspicious of the unusual number of bodies of young female servants coming from the castle for burial. The countess claimed that they were victims of cholera, but the amount of bodies was making the clergyman like scratch his head like, what the fuck is going on up there?
Right. And it wasn't cholera fleas, right?
No, I don't think so.
Plague fleas.
So, supposedly all this murder happened in just the years before and after her husband died. So, when he died, she would have no income coming in, right? Because he wasn't there to work anymore, being part of the army, which initially was fun.
I thought he left her, like...
He did leave her whole estate, but, like, no more income was coming in. Whatever she had was... Which was, you would think, would be plenty, right? And initially it was okay because they were one of the wealthiest families in the area. In fact, the crown owed her husband and the estate a ton of money. A ton of money. Like, one source I heard was, like, in the millions of back then. So, like, a ton of money. So, when the money stopped coming in after his death, she went to the king and was like, Can I have my money? Like, what's up?
Like, what's up?
Bitch, give me my money.
Where's the support?
And the king is like, yeah, sure. Check's in the mail. Like,
yeah.
It's on the way. But when rumors of the noble children went missing, the king sent Thorzo, the guy that Elizabeth's husband left her in her protection, to go investigate what's going on.
Right.
So when Thorzo stormed the castle to arrest Elizabeth, he found her in the process of torturing a young girl and one laying dead on the floor, or one dying on the floor. There's multiple accounts of.
Okay.
However, the man Thorzo was with did not have the same written account of the day's events. Now, why would Thorzo want to lie about what he found at Elizabeth's house, especially if he was friendly with her husband? Well, if the king convicts Elizabeth for crimes like this, all of his debt would be wiped out. The king wouldn't owe her any more money. Oh. And Thorzo would be able to inherit some of the property because he is her cousin.
Damn, they were trying to do a bitch dirty.
Yeah. Oh, they did her dirty.
Damn.
Yeah. So pretty quickly, Elizabeth transfers her estate to her son Paul because he's her living heir.
Right.
Male heir. Her daughters had already been married off. Supposedly, Elizabeth wasn't in the castle torturing people alone. Beside her lesbian lover Anna, there were 3 older women and a younger man. They were Ilona Jo, Elizabeth's children's former wet nurse.
Okay.
Dorothea Senstes, who was a friend of Ilona, an elderly woman called Katalin Bencheski, and a boy named Janos Javari. All of them admitted to participating in Elizabeth's torture sessions, but they admitted this under extreme torture interrogation. They tortured these fucking people to like interrogate them, which was very common back then. But also psychologists now are like, when you torture somebody for information, they're very inclined to say whatever you want them to say and then some.
Right. It's not like,
It's not a good way to interrogate someone and get a truthful answer. Yeah. All of the servants, except for Anna, the lesbian lover, because she was already dead, were tried and executed. Ilona and Dorothea had their fingers torn out before the executioner burned their bodies. Because of his relative youth, the same executioner just beheaded Janos, while the guards sent Katalin to prison. I'm not sure why she wasn't executed. And we don't know what happened to her, if she died in prison or if she was released or what happened to her.
Wow.
There was a local forest witch. Here's my witch.
Oh, okay.
Named Urzasi.
That sounds like a witch name.
Yeah, Urzasi Margarova. She was implicated in abating the Countess' attempt to kill the king and Thorzo by magic. So Thorzo burned her at the stake. When she was finally accused of the crimes, like officially, Elizabeth said, "It was my servants that did it. It wasn't me. I allowed them to do these terrible things because even I, myself, was afraid of them." Her servants. Besides these servants who were tortured for their confessions, 300 people, servants, priests, nobles, area people that lived around there, came forward with testimony against Elizabeth. During the trial, the exact number of Elizabeth's victims was debated, the lowest number being 36, and the highest claimed to be over 650. And that number was given by a woman named Susanna, who claimed to have seen one of Elizabeth's diaries in which she had listed all of her victims. Now, this number could not be proven. A diary was never found. It's been looked for. Okay. Deeply looked for. But also, historians say that the way that we, think of a diary or a journal, they didn't...
Dear diary.
Yeah, they didn't really, introspectively, talk about their day. That would have been considered, gluttonous.
Okay.
Maybe a list was somewhere.
Right.
But if there was, it was never found. There was evidence that many people were killed on her property. There was bones. There were bodies buried. There were, whatever. So in all of the talking and the evidence that they could find with early 1600s... scientific evidence or whatever, right, they settled on the number of 80 people were killed there. 80 young girls and servants were killed on the property. Elizabeth herself was never put on trial and was never put to death because she was a highborn countess. Some stories say that Elizabeth was locked in, bricked into a room, and there was only... This is what I heard on the History Channel. She was bricked into a room.
Okay.
Just a cell in her castle, and just a little window so they could push food in there.
Okay.
But more likely, it was that she was locked in her castle, and she wasn't able to leave, what we would think of house arrest.
Okay.
On the evening of August 20th, 1614, she complained to her bodyguards that her hands were cold, when she like showed them to him, and he said, "It's nothing, mistress, just go lie down." And she went to sleep and was found dead the next morning. For generations, it was illegal for Hungarians to even speak her name. Today, Elizabeth is little more than a tourist attraction. The castle that she owned has been remodeled. You can go there and like walk around and see shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which like,
Why were her hands cold though?
maybe she was having a stroke or something, or maybe she was like
Oh.
not getting circulation. That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay.
She wasn't getting circulation. Tourists flock to the castle, where a statue of the Countess stands outside. There's a museum. The ruins of her castle and even a wine company are named after her, and she is immortalized just as she would have wished. But we don't know even remotely close to how many people she killed or the depths of the depravity that happened.
Wow.
It's almost certain that 650 is not the number. It's probably not even 80. Most people think it is probably somewhere between 35 and 60. But that's a lot of people to kill. Like,
That is a
especially
whole lot.
in like a 4 or 5 year span. Like, this
Yes.
is a lot of people to be killed.
Her groundskeeper must have been like employed at 24 hours a day.
I mean, truly. But she's the inspiration for, I mean, some people think she was the original inspiration for Dracula.
Okay.
You know, Vlad the Impaler doesn't come for another 100 years after her, I think.
Right.
Or maybe he's 100 years before. I think he's 100 years after. You know, the evil queen from Snow White
Right.
is inspired by her. She's the inspiration for lots of, like, vampiric, dark.
bet.
There's tons of movies you can watch. They're not great. I saw one many years ago.
On her?
Yeah, and she is like this lesbian, like sensual bodice, like
Really?
ripping like a vampire, and she's so hot. And you're just like, yes, bitch, but no.
But wait, they made her a lesbian in the movies too?
Yeah, and one of the
how
movies
about
I
that?
saw of her, yeah.
Oh. Was it lesbian porn?
It was not, alas. Lesbian porn is not that great.
Really? I'm
Yeah.
shocked.
It's like for the male gaze.
Wow.
It's unrealistic.
Okay.
Just don't waste your time.
okay.
Unless you like find some like. Anyway, moving on.
So that's insane.
Yeah, I'm shocked that you never heard that story.
No, never
Shocked.
heard it.
This is why history is so incredible. History's cool, man.
Okay.
History's cool.
I gave a little bit of history last week.
You did. I was really happy about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our episode. Check in with us next week. We'll have more stories for you. In the meantime, you can go see what we did on Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
We have some stuff over there. We do commentary. We do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we're
Just-
talking
there's
about
stuff over there.
leggings this week.
Yes. We're doing Lula Rich, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lula Rich.
Yeah.
You can also show support by clicking on the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes, and you can make a donation there. However you'd like to support us, okay? But the best way to support us is not even financially. It's by spreading the good gospel and giving us a good review on iTunes or anywhere you can review the show.
You know what you can do is you can take I know everybody in your house has an iPhone. You open up every iPhone, every iPad, and write a different review on every one. Everyone.
Yeah, it could be the same one, too.
I mean, change it
As
up.
long as it's
Be
5
creative.
stars.
It'll be great.
I don't give
Just
a
be
shit.
like, best podcast ever, 5 stars. They're
Yes.
so funny, 5
And just
stars.
do that all over again.
On just make up a different email address on every
yeah.
iPad.
That sounds feasible.
Do it. Just do it. What else are you doing?
If all else fails, if you don't have an iPhone or an Apple account, go to Podchaser, go to
Yeah, that.
Good Pods. They do reviews on all of those places.
Yeah.
Especially Podchaser, it's in our link tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, or share this podcast with somebody who likes creepy shit just like you. Another weirdo.
Yes.
So, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Check you out next week. And remember, do not get taken to that second location.
I mean, you might as well go. I think it'll be fine.
Just because you keep going.
Are you okay? Jesus Christ. You're disgusting, and I hate you both. Oh, God.